Hello everyone, and welcome to yet again another Friday new product post. Last week I said that we had something special for you this week, and we really do. We've got something pretty cool. So you might want to watch the whole video and check out all the new cool stuff we have for this week. So first off, we have a new kit. This is the Mr. Roboto Kit. Now we just have the assembled one here, but it comes just as a box of bare components. And the interesting thing about the Mr. Roboto Kit is it actually does a lot of good stuff when you get it put together. We've got a couple of LEDs here as the eyes, we've got a light sensor, and we've also got a temperature sensor. And when we turn this on, you can see the eyes blink, and we have the little LCD screen down here that reads out the temperature and the value from the light sensor. Now, it's a really simple kit, obviously. But it has an FTDI header here at the top, and if we flip it over, we can see that it has an Atmega 328 and all the other stuff going on here. So what makes this kit nice is because of the buzzer, because of the LEDs, because of the temperature sensor, and because of the light sensor, and as well as the LCD screen, it's really flexible. It uses the Arduino bootloader, so you can load on all sorts of different code. You could use the example code for the light sensor to control one of the LED eyes. You could set this in the corner of a room, let's say, and when someone turns on the light, the buzzer goes crazy and the lights start blinking. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with this little kit. So if you're looking for a kit that when you put together you can still do some other things with it, you might want to check out the Mr. Roboto Kit. It comes with everything you see here, including this nice little battery case which has the on-off switch on it. So it's a pretty neat little kit. You should check out Mr. Roboto. And next we have a new product, which is something that we've been carrying for a long time, but we have a new version of it. These are 6-inch digital calipers. If you've never used a pair of digital calipers, you might want to try these out. They come in this lovely SparkFun red box, and they look pretty much like the old ones that we have, except for they're about half the price. So these are now a lot cheaper, and they're every bit as good as the old ones. So you've got nice little instructions, tell you how to use them. And let's look at the actual calipers before. For those of you not actually familiar with these, they're really good for measuring all sorts of different things. We turn it on, we zero it out, and by moving this, we can easily measure something. We can measure the outside diameter of something. Let's say this. We can, boom, easily measure that. But let's say we want to measure the inside of the cap. We can use these up here to simply measure the inside of the cap. So it's a really easy and handy thing to have in your toolbox. The other nice thing is we also have a depth gauge here. So if you're trying to measure, I don't know, the depth of, let's say this, you can just put that in there, boom, there's your depth. Most people don't know that's what that's for. Now, these are relatively inexpensive. We wanted to just take one of these apart and show you just exactly what is inside a pair of these. So let's take it apart and see what's happening inside. If we flip them over, we can see there's just a little label here that we're just going to take off. There we go, label's gone. And we've got just these 4 screws. So we're going to undo those. And I wouldn't really suggest doing this to your pair because, they're not going to probably function as well, and just let us do it. We're just doing this just to show you what it looks like when you take them apart. Just so you don't get curious and do it on your own. Okay, now that we have those 4 screws off, this whole housing just kind of comes right out. And you'll see this is the little wheel that would go along here to adjust it in and out. And we've got the actual display here. Now the interesting thing you'll note is that there's really nothing going on with this module. There's basically just these little traces, and the traces kind of butt up against here, and that's what actually changes the values. So it's kind of interesting. It's not really optical. There's no actually like an encoder or anything like that. So let's take this off and see what we got underneath of here. Okay, so now that we've got this board free, let's lift it up. So here's the LCD screen, and here's the buttons, and there's the battery. And that's all there is to it. There's most likely an IC under that little dab of epoxy, but as you can see, there's almost nothing going on with this board. This is the entirety of the circuit. So there's got to be something underneath here. So if we look at this and we actually peel this back, you can actually see that there's little segments all along here. So when this board actually swipes across here, it registers the minor changes across that, and that's what gives you your readings. So it's actually a really simple process, the way that they're doing this, and it's extremely reliable, and that's why these things can be so inexpensive. There's really not that much going on with it. It's just this tiny little board and then this strip that gets put on these metal calipers. So if you've ever wondered how one of these things work and you've always wanted to take one apart but didn't want to destroy yours, there you go. That's what they look like inside. And I can't say how handy it is to have a pair of these around. It's amazing how many times you'll want to measure a hole, measure a screw. So get yourself a pair of digital calipers. So we carry a couple robot chassis, and if any of you were watching the comments last week, you actually saw me talk about how we're going to have a new robot platform this week, and we do. Here's a couple that we already carry. This here is the Magician chassis, and if you're not familiar with this, it is just a really simple, really basic robot chassis that has a couple little gear motors down here and then just a ball wheel up front. And the nice thing about this is it's really inexpensive. It doesn't take a whole lot to get this running, but it is a little flimsy and, you know, it is a little cheap, but for the money, it's well worth it. It's a really great little inexpensive platform. And if you step up from there, we've got the Rover 5 platform, which we have used in several videos. The Rover 5 is nice because it has adjustable wheels. You can put, whatever wheels you want on here. And, obviously you can add some LEDs and all sorts of other stuff. The Rover 5 even has optical encoders in each one of these hubs, so you can use them with the mechanism wheels that we have. And, four-wheel drive, it's a pretty cool thing. It comes with tank treads. This is a nice platform as well. But what if you want to do something a little bit bigger and something a little bit more intense? Well, this week we have the Wilde Thumper platform, which looks a little bit like this. It is an absolute monster compared to either ones of these, and it actually comes with 6 of these off-road tires, which we've actually been selling separately for some time now. So a full 6-wheeled robot with 6 individual off-road wheels, and this has fully independent suspension on every single wheel. This will do off-road. This will do pretty much any driving condition that you want, and it's extremely durable. The thing is completely metal, and it has a lot of places to mount things. You can mount sensors all over this. You've got these 2 bays in here that you can mount the battery and your driver controller, all those things. It is a fantastic platform. It doesn't come cheap, but it is all solid metal, and even the gearboxes are all metal inside, so there's no plastic gears to strip like we've experienced on the Rover 5 when we've driven it really hard. So let's take a little closer look at this platform and see what all it contains. So we've got the wheels off of this, and this is actually how it comes. It includes the 6 wheels, but we've taken them off just so we can mess with it. So if we flip this over, you can see a little bit better what's going on here. There's 34-to-1 gear motors, and you can see each one is independently pivoting. They have connection points here and here, so it moves, and there's actually a spring down here, so they actually spring into each other. And there's also a cable that connects the two, so when one moves, the other moves correspondingly. The center set of motors are actually set up a little bit higher, so you get a higher center of gravity in the middle. So essentially what's happening is when the robot is driving towards something, it's always going to be a little heavy in the middle so that when it approaches something, it can go over top of it a lot easier. So it is definitely made for off-road or rough terrain use. This wouldn't be good like on a track or solid concrete as much. The middle section has a little bit tighter of a spring mechanism, although all these spring mechanisms can be adjusted to some degree. And each one of these individual sections are connected with a plastic plate in the middle. Now, let's flip this over, take off the top, and see what kind of connections we have on the top. I'm just going to take off these 8 screws. Okay. now that we have the last screw out, take this top off, and here's what we have inside. So we have these, individual little pieces here. We have these nice, generous areas to where we can put in batteries, motor controllers, or other electronics. And we've also got this terminal strip where all the motors are connected. And right now they're connected just, left, negative, positive, and then the right side over here. So you could drive these all individually, but that's probably going to be a nightmare in terms of a motor controller. So it comes pre-wired like this, just with a left side and a right side, and that works pretty well actually. You've got these standoffs here. You could shorten them, you could do whatever you want, and you've got attachment points on the front, the back, and all around this. So there's just so many places where you can attach stuff. And the holes are set up in a pitch to where Maker Beam, Micro Racks, and a lot of the Tamiya products actually bolt directly onto here. So that's pretty nice. So there you have it. This is the Wilde Thumper 6-wheel drive robotic platform. Now, you're probably going to need a pretty decent controller to drive all this. Thankfully, we have a new motor controller that goes especially with this, but you can use it for whatever else you want. So let's take a look at that. This is the Wilde Thumper motor controller. Now, the interesting thing about this controller is it has a ton of features on it. It is a 2-channel motor controller, and it can control up to about 15 amps. And as you can see, it has this heavy-duty heat sink on it and a pretty well-populated board with a lot of stuff. Let me explain some of the features. If you look at it here, we've got a DC barrel jack. This barrel jack attaches, and that is for charging batteries. This will charge SLAs, NIMs, Nicods, and some others. It will not charge LiPos, unfortunately, but if you're using any of those other batteries, then it will charge it directly inside of here. It also has some built-in fuses. It has over voltage current protection and some other things, current sensing that you can adjust with these 2 little trim pots here. At the heart of this whole thing is actually an Atmega 168. And the beauty about this whole board is it actually has an Arduino bootloader on it. So you can plug this in over USB and load Arduino sketches on it. And it even comes with a basic Arduino sketch that you can just kind of modify a little bit. We've got a lot of status LEDs, we've got a battery connector over here, and most of the digital and analog pins are actually broken out. So if you're looking to place this inside of here and have some sensors or have some other servos and stuff going on, this controller can pretty much do all of that. And it's a great little controller, and as you can see, it's got a pretty substantial heat sink on the back side and pretty beefy traces for everything. So it's really good, and we've put this through its paces, and it has definitely proven itself. And if you happen to have one of these radios hanging around, you can actually use this and the matching receiver that comes with these and plug it directly into the board, and with the code that's running currently on this as it ships, all you do is plug in the receiver into this board, and this will work right out of the box. It does all the mixing, it does everything for you. So if you're looking to do a really easy control for this, just get one of these. You can get these anywhere online, get the receiver, plug it in, and you're ready to go. So we've got this new robot platform. We've got the new controller, and of course we have one of these laying around. So we gotta, do a proof of concept, and we gotta show how this works together. So what better way than put it together and do some sort of project? So this is what we've got. So this is our 6-wheel robot, and yes, this is a potato cannon. So here we have the Scorpion. The Scorpion is the self-contained off-road robotic potato inertial opponent neutralizer. Scorpion for short. It's a little easier to remember. So what we've done is we've taken the platform, we've mounted on this potato cannon, some PVC pipe, some other things, and acrylic with the handy laser cutter. We've attached these electrodes down to a little spark thing. We don't know what it is. We got it for a sample, and it creates a pretty good spark. Inside we've got the motor controller, we've got a receiver for a little controller, we've got a 9-volt battery with a MOSFET to control this guy, and then a battery up in here. As you can see, the robot is extremely nimble and extremely flexible. And we can move this thing all around. It's got quite the suspension on it. So let's go outside and have some fun. So there you have it, an epic Friday new product post. We will see you again next week with even more new products, and I want to see some really cool stuff being done with this platform. So we'll see you again next week and hope you liked it.